What sort of content should business owners be creating?
Here's the thing. Every business owner has something to teach, right? Every business owner has an insight that if they shared it with someone, that person would go, huh, I didn't know that,
Yeah.
you know? Renee, welcome back to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Scott, it's a pleasure and a privilege.
It's going to be another great episode. We get lots of questions about this topic, and it's content. Let's break down some wins that business owners can get when it comes to content. So if you're listening to this one in the car, you're going to listen to this again because you're going to take notes on this one. We're going to give you lots of actionable information that you can use because this is a thing that comes up all the time when we're dealing with clients around their message and around their content. So, what's some of the things that you want to know?
Well, I guess, Scott, to kick it off, what sort of content should business owners be creating?
I reckon, I try to keep things simple, right? If you know me, that's what I try to do. I keep it real simple. So when I'm talking to business owners, either like in workshops or seminars, etc., I know there's so many different business owners in the room, right? So I'll go to 3 types of content. And look, a lot of this is you want to develop this around storytelling too, right? So a great book to read on that is Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. But the story needs to overlay into these 3 components. So I put it into 3 really simple for business owners. One is your light bulb moment content, okay? So this is content that teaches your audience something new. And I'll give some examples of all of this in just a second because I think it's, we'll break it down in a couple of different industries so people can really understand it. The next one I think is trending content. And trending content is really, what is the world talking about? There was a famous saying, and I remember reading this book, the Robert Collier letter, and he talked about entering the conversation that people are already having.
Yeah, right.
Nice. So if you can do that in marketing, if you can enter the conversation that they're already having, then you win. And I'll share another website that you can go to do that. And then the third one is curiosity-driven content. And sometimes, answering the questions that people have is a really, really good way for you to create content. That's what I find amazing when I talk to business owners. They've always got a mountain of knowledge inside their head, but then they don't actually answer the simple questions, right? So I'll actually give you a really good website. I've been sharing this website for years and years and years, and it still works today. It's actually even got better. It got bought out by another person, and he's just taken it to another level. So let's go through. Did you have any questions on those ones?
Look, I guess the frequently asked questions, like getting that information out of people's heads, right? Sometimes it can just be the info on your website page that you like those frequently asked questions, right? So just diving into that even more. And if you just think about something that is asked to you frequently, like if one person's asking you it, then probably another 10 people are actually wondering the same thing. Yeah. So getting that out there.
That is so true. When you talk to people when they're asking those questions, or even if you're reading your comments on your ads that people are writing, or comments on your competitors' ads that people are writing, and they're asking questions, you can get a whole bunch of things that you could be creating content on. Just based off that alone. So being an active listener is really, really a good thing to do when you're in the marketing game. So I thought I'd share light bulb moments because here's the thing. Every business owner has something to teach, right? Every business owner has an insight that if they shared it with someone, that person would go, huh, I didn't know that, I'll give you an example. So for a fitness studio, right? Maybe people aren't seeing results in what they're doing. They're working harder than ever. And they're not getting the results that they want. But actually it's about the recovery. So you could be sharing content on why rest and nutrition is more important than just the workouts, right? It's kind of a little bit contrary to what other people would say, but as an expert, that people actually have to rest. They have to have proper nutrition. So you could enter that conversation with some light bulb moments around that, because lots of people just say, hey, go to the gym, push weights, do this, run this, blah, 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 blah. But if you're coming to the angle of something different, then you'll get attention with that. Maybe an accounting firm, as a business owner, we all know profit versus cash flow and why, growing just revenue can send you broke, and it does for a lot of companies. So what's your insight as to business owners that could actually help them generate more profit? It's just a simple little insight there. And you'll start talking the language that those business owners are really, a lot of business owners I know are frustrated by the revenue they create, but not the money they keep,
Yeah. Right.
So that's another good one. Real estate agent, here's a real simple one. 3 things that could actually sell a home and it's not price. Like so much is around staging your house, and emotional staging, photography, and obviously the copywriting, and going, deeper into some of those those little things that that could make someone go, oh, I didn't know that. The certain type of staging can really, really help. Recently I saw inside a house that agent had put little signs everywhere. And I thought that was really interesting, but it was actually very, very helpful for people coming in to their open home. So little things you can do.
What did the signs say?
Just like ask me questions about this. And it was like a piece of furniture, or ask me questions about the garage, and starting to prompt people about why they were doing it. And I thought that was kind of smart, right? Because people would walk around an open home and probably not ask you any questions, right?
Totally.
So because that's what, but if you got hey, ask me a question about this, all of a sudden, the agent is expecting you to ask. So next minute you've got something, right?
Yeah, interaction starts, right?
Yeah, totally. And that's what you want your content to do, right? Trending content examples is, I love this. Look, you just go to Google Trends and type in, or you can basically see what the world is talking about. And here's a good example of that, right? So if you're a cafe or hospitality, you could create a post on asking ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever to create you a brand new menu. And you could see that play out. You could post it, and it taps into the AI trend with a bit of fun. So all of a sudden you get behind the scenes as well. You could do it in the kitchen, have a bit of a laugh about it, and see what AI creates as far as a new menu. Obviously, you don't have to post it. You don't have to print the menu out and put it on the menu, but you could be posting that sort of content.
Yeah,
taps into it. E-commerce, I think that's a really good one. E-commerce, like everything is always changing, right? Amazon just changed the return policy. What this means for small brands like us, you could actually use the big player to then communicate to your customers. They've done this. Here's what it means to you and means to us. So you bring them along your journey. Kind of call out the bigger player to some degree, common enemy as someone might call it, so you explain to the customers, give them some insights into what their decision and how it affects you and how it affects them. So another easy piece of content. Hair salons, this is an easy one. Like, okay, well, what's a viral hair color? And that's everyone's talking about right now. And you could combine those trends and even share what you're seeing in your salon around those trends. Look, people want to know, and they want to understand that you're the expert. So if you're entering that conversation, really, really simple to create content around that.
Totally. And with hair salons, there's a big trust factor there, right?
Huge trust factor. And I think part of this is with content, you've got to get yourself seen. Yeah. Because if you're not getting seen, you're not building that brand in the marketplace. Number 3 is probably my favorite. It's curiosity-driven content. Entering that conversation, answering the questions that people already have. There's a great website to go. It's called answerthepublic.com. I've been going there for years, and essentially it's a flywheel of every question in your industry. Neil Patel's taken it up, and he's really made it is a wee bit more interactive. You can see what questions actually have the most demand now.
Oh, cool.
So people will go, and it basically picks up from all search what people are actually looking for, and then you can go and answer those questions. So if you're a law firm, the great question I get, they get all the time, or there's actually an example on Answer the Public is, do I actually need a will if I don't own a property? Simple question, but a question that, and as a lawyer and as someone in that business, you might, that's a dumb question. But to the human and to the person on the outside, that's a question that they want to know the answer to, right? And it's really, really simple. You can easily answer that question getting in front of video,
Yeah.
And it's a question that people generally have. Trades and constructions. How much does a bathroom renovation really cost in New Zealand? This is great. This one actually builds trust and transparency at the time, and positions you as an expert. So you could break that down on what that means. And it doesn't really matter. Any part of the trade, you could have that as a question. Whether you're a full-on builder, whether you're a sparky, whether you're a plumber, it doesn't really matter. You could enter your part of that conversation and really answer that question. So I like that one. Hey, and for us, one we get all the time is, can I get results without spending any money on ads? And that's a question, it starts it's a good question around organic strategy, like just creating content versus a paid strategy. The answer is you need to do both. And the fact is, creating the content surely or will end up giving you the content for your ads. So that's a smart way to do that. So, and I guess from my perspective, there are 3 simple buckets that you can go to, 3 content pillars that you can go to really, really get your conversation started. So light bulb moment content, trending content, and that curiosity-driven content. Most business owners, if you sat down for half an hour, you could create some content around that. Totally. But I know, Renee, you've got some more in-depth information. You've actually got some thoughts that you have when you're dealing with customers and our clients all the time. You've actually got some real examples from our clients too. So let's go into that. What sort of content should business owners be creating, and what's your thoughts on that?
Well, look, thanks, Scott. There's just a basic one, like I've listed a few here to go through, but a basic one being before and after shots. So, help install that know, like, and trust by, actually showcasing what it was like to work with a client before and then what it's like after, obviously. An example that I use in real life when I'm out in the field is looking at Whitehead Plumbing and Gas, with their strategy partner. We love working with them. And I show an example for their social media, their Facebook, what it looked like before we stepped in, and there was a bit of inconsistency. Their message was disconnected. They weren't posting regularly. It didn't look as professional as their brand, because they're a well-known, established company. They do great work out there. They do. Yeah, and so then just showing that transformation of what it was like once they were in the DI fold, and it goes from that inconsistent and disconnected to consistent, high-quality content that really aligns with their brand.
Yeah, it's a good one. And you mentioned a keyword, and this is the keyword that a lot of business owners, when they're creating content, especially in this before and after, the one word that Renee mentioned is transformation. Yeah. People actually want to see a transformation because they can see the before, then they see the after. Now, their brains, a lot of people, if you're like me, I have to see something visually to actually help me make a decision, right? So if you're trying to sell me something, show me it visually, because if it's just noise and words, I'm not going to see it as much as if you put something down on a piece of paper or show me something, right? And that's the key. People want to see that transformation, because then they see themselves in that transformation.
Yeah, and back it up. It installs that trust as well, right?
It's a good one.
Yeah, totally. And so there's some different format ideas for that. Like on Meta, you can use carousel side by side, before and afters, or reels for the same thing, LinkedIn posts with the same sort of category, or a blog post or a case study on your website.
So there's 4 different types of content that you could create just out of that one idea, right?
Yeah.
And these platforms love that type of content too, right? They want you to put on carousels. They want you to be doing reels.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, that Whitehead Plumbing and Gas was a perfect example, because their team is amazing and they love what they do, but it's just that their marketing kind of needed to catch up.
Well, as I always say, though, a lot of business owners are good at what they do on a daily business. And a day-to-day, they're really good at doing, helping and serving their customers. We're just good at helping and serving our customers and showcasing, like we're their biggest promoters. We're their spotlight. We actually showcase by doing this sort of stuff that they're good at what they do, and here's how to showcase what you're doing.
Totally.
End of the day, that's marketing. Like, you want to get it in front of as many people as you can that want to and could do business with you.
Yeah, yeah. Another content idea is the way we do things. So just showing the process. So
nice.
Yeah, taking a photo midway through something, or you're just telling that story. Because your story is like your secret weapon, right?
I seriously, I am starting to challenge myself with this. I need to do this better as a founder of the business, getting more and more involved in creating my own type of content. Look, I put out a lot of content, but I reckon I could share a little bit more, behind the scenes of the way we do stuff and why we do stuff and stuff like that. And it's something that I'm working on constantly and trying to get better at.
Nice. Yeah, cool. Because like I said, it's your secret weapon, right? Met with some business owners recently. They're a female-owned and operated company. They make some amazing products, locally sourced products for it as well. Made in New Zealand, obviously, and they're not telling that story anywhere. They've got some beautiful branding coming through. Like, their brand is really high.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. but they're not telling that story. And at the end of the day, that's where the real power is, right?
Yeah, because you've got to connect people to that, right? And let people in and let people know that this is what you're up to. Because once you do, more and more people are going to go and shop with you because they start to buy you versus just buying the product. Chances are they could probably buy something similar anywhere. And this is a challenge for business owners, and this is kind of a little bit of a wake-up call. People can buy, well, they can do three things. They can buy from you, they can buy from a competitor, or they can do nothing. You don't want them, buying from a competitor. So if you've got a good product, get out there and market it.
Yeah.
Tell your story.
Yeah, and personalize it, right?
Yeah, very cool. I like that.
Yeah. Another content idea is behind the scenes moments. So that could be sort of that packing that product or prepping a van or, some team banter and so on and so forth. And part of that is, celebrating the team. So recently I did some Meet the Team videos. We started them in the Digital Influence office here. Still got to do your one, Scott. And it was cool. So I just let the team know that I wanted to pop round on a day. We've still got a few more to do, and ask them to tell me the question they wanted to get out.
Yeah.
So there's a wealth of knowledge in our team. There's 14 people that are specialists in all the different fields. So it's getting that knowledge out and sharing some useful, helpful content, but also, engaging them and, getting people to be familiar with the team.
Yeah. It's quite cool just even watching some of those videos. You learn a bit. Like I didn't, some of the stories that you hear and some of the things that the team's working on, even from an individual level and why they're doing certain things. And I thought that was really, really cool. You learn stuff as a business owner about what your team's up to, but then you also hear what they're training on, etc. And your clients are in safe hands because, the team's putting in the effort.
Yeah, and that could be like new hires as well, or anniversaries, or any sort of staff wins, Friday laughs, or so on and so forth.
We don't laugh on Friday around here.
No, it's no laughter.
We laugh every day.
Cool. So another content idea is that social proof. So you might have a Google review or any sort of review. So it's repurposing that and getting that back out there, and it helps build that know, like, and trust, that social proof, rather than just getting a review and saying thanks. And maybe just posting it, really engaging and get the story behind it.
Yep. And look, this could be as simple as, taking that review, putting it into somewhere like Canva, or just taking a snapshot of it on your phone and sharing it. It doesn't have to be that hard, but just, you've done the work, you've got a great review, share it, make more people know about that, right? And I think that's something that we're really good at. We get good reviews and then we showcase it because we want to get known by the success of our clients, and that's definitely the way you've got to do it, right?
Yeah, totally.
One, you've got to ask for it,
Yeah, that's a biggie, right? And I think Kiwis struggle with that as well because sometimes it does feel like you're high-fiving yourself when you ask for a review.
Yeah.
But if people have had a good experience, they want to get that out there and they want to share it.
Saw a great one the other day. A young fella was doing car grooming, I think it is. And at the end of the car groom, they put a QR code in with a box of chocolates. I think they were Ferrero Rochers, and simply asking, hey, if we've done a good job, would you mind giving us a review? All of a sudden, reciprocity, they've obviously done a good job, sweetened out the deal with a bit of chocolate, and they've got 120-something odd Google reviews. So how good's that,
Yeah,
simple.
smart. That's
Most
smart,
businesses
right?
could do that. Just ask.
Yeah, just ask for it. An example, I guess, that we've had recently is we met the guys at Monster Music. They've got a new product. We met them last year and went through the process of strategy session and high performance review. And it was really cool because they've come back to me recently because they weren't ready to move forward yet with some of the recommendations we made on the performance review on their website.
How good.
And now they're ready to catch up again. But that's a review from them was these guys are incredible, offer a great service and have been blown away by the amount of value we've received from minimal investment. Highly recommend for anyone who is overwhelmed or thinking about in the world of marketing.
How good's that?
Yeah.
We've been getting some really good feedback about our strategy and high performance reviews, strategy sessions and high performance reviews, and that's another good example. But I think we've had probably 5 or 6 in the last month or so, right? So it's really starting to get some traction. So I just want to make a bit of a shout out. If you do want to do something like that, if you want to get a plan around your content, then connect with Renee, because she can actually sit down, her and Bronte, they'll take you through a questionnaire to start with, and then they'll come in, either you do it online or you come into the boardroom here. We've got a couple of whiteboards in and around the office here, and you just sit down and it's just brainstorming, strategizing, in a format, in a framework that really can help you actually get what you need out of your head for your business to grow. And the team take you through this framework, and then you produce this pretty amazing report. So Renee, what's your phone number?
My phone number is 022-571-5055.
Awesome. So connect with Renee or go to the website, Digital Influence, and contact us. Fill in a form and let's have a conversation. You're one conversation away from growing your business. Seriously, when we start to see some of the things that we've done, and then go read our reviews. Go and read our Google reviews. Like, people are starting to send us reviews because of the impact that's making. So this is very cool.
Yeah, cool. And I guess off the back of that, another content idea is to just reintroduce your services, because not everybody out there will know what you do. You hear so sometimes true. Where a business might, say if they're working with a real estate agent company and they brought a house through them, or they sell a house and then they've got an investment property that they're wanting to rent out. So they'll go to someone that does rental properties, not realising that real estate agent actually does both. Yeah, that's a good one, right? Actually cross-selling what you do, your services. If you don't let people know, they're not going to know, right? Yeah. So once again, this is a big one. I remember back 9 years ago, a law firm came to us and they were very frustrated that their competitors were getting their clients were going to their competitors to do trusts. And the gentleman was like, Scott, what can we do to stop this? And 9 years later, we're working with them, and it did stop, right? Because we got the message out there that, hey, we definitely can look after all your law services. We can, transact your property, but we can also look after your trust. Because they were frustrated. Their customers were going elsewhere because they weren't telling them about it. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I mean, even in a few months' time, like every 90 days, people might not realise if it's what you do, what your full services are. So it's getting back in front of them all the time. Well, this is the challenge we fall into as business owners, because we're sometimes so sold on our thing that we forget to tell the world about it, right? Like we have a conversation that everyone knows about us, but we don't. Because if I ask the viewer who was the co-founder or founder of United Airlines? Yeah, right. No one's going to know, right? But if I say who was the co-founder and founder of Virgin Airlines, everyone's going to know, right? Yeah, totally. Richard Branson, right? Sir Richard Branson. And that's the power of building a personal brand and telling people over and over and over again who you are, where you are, and what you have to offer, and why people should do business with you. That consistency, right? Yeah. Cool. That little framework, by the way, that'll make you a lot of money. Yeah. Where you are, who you are, what you have to offer, and why people should buy from you. Look, another content idea is around sponsorship or any community work that you're doing. So, nice. Yeah, don't just sponsor it. It's fantastic that you're doing something in the community, but tell the story behind it as well. Be proud, right? Showcase what you're doing and the impact that you're making. Yeah, and that also helps showcase the charity or the sports club or whatever it is that you're working with as well. And so, connect the dots between what you do and what you support. And that's how marketing works as well, right? I saw a good one from us the other day. Our team went to the Inspire Foundation and we created a really, really cool video for Inspire Foundation. We were there to do the work for them, but at the same time, because they're a charity partner, we produced a video which was really awesome to let people know what we do, with them. So I thought it was really nice. And it's feel good, right? It's that feel good factor too. Yeah. But also, walk the talk. We can't be here telling these people and who are listening to us and watching us, do this. And that's what does frustrate me about marketing companies. They tell people what to do, but they don't actually show them what to do. And I'd rather us be, walking our talk. So we'll go and spend our own money to do this sort of stuff to show people here's what you can do as well. Cool. Yes. These ideas are great, by the way. Hope you're taking notes. Yeah. So I guess, next time you are looking to sponsor something, don't just post the logo, let your followers know what matters. Yeah, totally. Little thing that we did with Novus and their Trees That Count, right? And that sponsorship, and obviously every time
we're doing jobs, we're generating more trees that we can plant. So I said to the team, hey, I know this can be a little bit more costly, but every time we update those numbers, I want all the ads, all the videos, everything updated to those new numbers, because it's one thing to say you're planting trees, but the fact that you go from, say, nothing to now over 17,000 to 19,000, etc., it just shows progress. And people want to be involved in that story. And it may sound like a really, really simple thing, but if you're going to tell the story, bring people along that journey, and like all of a sudden, they see it was at 10 and now it's at 15 and then it's at 20, and all of a sudden you're at 50 and you're celebrating something bigger, but you've actually captured it along the way.
Yeah, and it's just that storytelling, right? And getting back in front of people. So, you don't need, out of that list that we've just shared with you, pick one or two ideas to start with, to run with if you're wanting to do things on your own. Totally. And don't overthink it. There's some basic things you can do, like setting up a shared folder where your entire team can upload content to or share images. And so you've got that central point. And I think it's really important to, humanize it. So use your own voice. Don't have it too polished.
Yeah, especially today, you don't want polished. I stumble over my words all the time, and look, I just keep it going. Yeah. I know, if the context and the content and the context is good, then hey, people will forgive me on that, because I just want to get and give value in advance of them ever giving me any money, and I want to help them. They're not going to worry if you've mucked up a few words, etc. If it's really bad, they're obviously not going to watch it or listen to it. But people forgive you for small mistakes. Perfection is the killer of business and social media and marketing today, if you're trying to get it perfect, because the market is too fast. Other competitors will come in and they'll dominate you while you're still worrying about that thing, right?
Yeah, and people can't relate to perfect either. So no. People do business with people, especially like as you said, Scott, how things are moving so fast, and we're in a world of AI, right? Yeah. So humanizing it, stand out and be yourself.
Yeah, totally. And I think when you start to look at AI and you start to look at everything that's happening in the AI space, the fact that you can be real and make a few mistakes, or the AI will tend to be more perfect, right? And you've got to talk about what you can do and what you've done, and that's what the market's going to buy. It's not going to buy a robot talking, right? Even more so now, you have to build your personal brands. I don't care if you're 18 or 17, you've got to be building a perfect brand. If you're 60, 65, 70, and you still want to be in business, build your personal brand. It will pay you in the next 5 to 6 years. Make no mistake.
Yeah, and it's not about posting every day. It's about showing up consistently. If you've got useful content, being useful and helpful, and like I said, just being real, right?
Yeah. Have some fun with it too, right? Like, content is, it's insightful. It can help people, but also can be a little bit of fun. So let's talk about an example that you went through with a brand that we've been looking after recently. And I know you've got permission to share a little bit of their story. So this is a good case study of how you can actually, how can we help people?
Good example of that content pillar, right? Yeah, cool. So Arctic Sammy, they're an e-commerce brand. The couple that we worked with, they make adventure dog wear. So if you imagine like the Kathmandu of dog wear. Very cool, locally sourced. They came to Digital Influence a few years ago when they were starting out. And being that small startup size, they didn't have the budget to invest in a marketing agency. No. But you and the team shared some insights with them that got them on the track to get things started. And fast forward to today, where they come back and we are now working, I think we're 6 weeks in, maybe 7 weeks into the partnership. And they had a massive one. Now, one of our core values here at Digital Influence is to celebrate your victories. And I got to do that last week with the team at Arctic Sammy. They had a 30% uplift on their best record of sales. Yeah. So that surpassed Black Friday, New Year's Day, which was their best day prior.
Like they've had a 38% uplift, and it's not even a special day. Imagine, when we get the real momentum going behind that. Pretty awesome one's pretty awesome that these guys have stayed in the queue. They got some advice. They listened to that advice. They've taken action on their advice. Then come back, not being put off and going, well, hey, no, they've actually come back, got into the fold, actually gone through the strategy and high performance review, and then come on as a customer. And I think, you know, from my perspective, just on the fact that we gave them some insights and said, hey, not just now, that's what a good marketing company should do. You know, I really believe I don't need everyone's money. You know, and I know a lot of business owners in this marketing industry just take business owners' money. If you're not ready, I'll just tell you. And I know my team will do this now too. You know, we've educated everyone in the business that, you know, we can help people at certain times. And if it's a matter of just giving them some free insights and here's an action plan, then we'll do that, right? We're not about to just going to take your money and then, you know, we know that you're not going to be able to get the results that you deserve. So having them wait, come back is a pretty cool story, right?
Yeah, and they trusted the process from day one. So they've really treated this as a partnership.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see
And
that.
they've got a cool product.
Yeah, it's amazing. And their dog's beautiful.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But, you know, the fact that they've got a loyal following as well is no surprise.
Yes.
Due to the quality of their work.
They've done some really good marketing too, like before us, you know, like they are doing some good stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, the good thing is we're only a couple of months into the partnership as well. So look out for the next record-breaking day.
Yeah. So good, so good. Is there anything else you wanted to share or any other insights on that, or have we covered that?
Yeah, I think we've covered the Arctic Sammy. It's just a great milestone and great to be part of it as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Something else that comes up quite regularly that I've been noticing in the strategy sessions lately is the RAMs, or the random acts of marketing that's put on to somebody in the office.
Yes.
So it pops up all the time, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a PA or an office assistant or someone that might do some health and safety, and they get landed with, and it doesn't matter if it's a small business or that sort of more medium-sized business, it's the same thing's happening, where they're tasked with the marketing job.
Yeah. Look, I believe, and I've seen this so many times, marketing falls at the weakest link. You can have the everything in play, but if there's one weak link that you haven't thought all the way through, your marketing fails. And, you know, random acts of marketing, like that's not going to grow your business. And it's not fair to put it on one person to them, just because sometimes it's because they're the youngest, right? Just falls on you. And you then get so busy to doing other stuff. So random acts of marketing, you can see it everywhere. Like you definitely, you know, you can visit someone's profiles and you can see, oh, they've did a post here, they've done a post here, haven't done a post for 6 months, then they do a post. Yeah.
And that's a good point about being the youngest person obviously gets landed with it, because they'll obviously know social media is some business owners' mindset, but they might know how to navigate it and post some personal things, but the actual strategy and the marketing behind it is a whole nother beast.
Yeah.
So they can become overwhelmed and stressed and either avoid it or just do some knee-jerk kind of those RAMs, the random acts of marketing. And
it is really interesting, and like just talking to people, lucky enough to do some presentations and talk to people face to face. And marketing is so confusing. Like just you can see the agony on people's face. One, they don't want to be in front of a camera. They don't know what to post, how to post it, all this sort of stuff. There's a whole bunch of things going on. There's a real fear about getting it wrong, and that's why, you know, working with someone to help you through this is a real smart thing to do, right? Even you know, like just getting a strategy down and getting some things that you can action is a good idea too, right? Because otherwise, I can see why businesses don't do it, and I see why businesses fail, and I can see why it's handed to someone who then becomes the weakest link. And they're not the weak link inside the business, but for that particular task, they are.
Yeah, it's a pressure, so it's a kind of a negative, right?
Yeah.
But
how do we fix it?
Well, get in touch with us. Like I said before, there's a team of 14 here that are all specialists in their field. So that's massive for me as well. So I can tap into that knowledge bank anytime, as you can, Scott. So being able to sort of have that at a high level is a really great thing to have.
Yeah.
Bronte and I, a lot of our week is in around the strategy sessions, where, you know, we really enjoy doing those sessions, working with small to medium-sized business owners. And, you know, it sounds cheesy every time I say it, but that strategy is like the foundation of your marketing house, right?
Yeah.
So getting really clear on that, and we go through the framework of that session, and then off to the side of that, come up with the high performance review, which is a real blueprint for people to move forward with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool when you see the actual documents, and we get them printed out here, and you look at them and read through them. There's a lot of marketing gold, a lot of strategic gold. I always say, if you want to be successful with marketing, you must design your marketing strategy to pick the tactics to produce the results you want. The key to that as well is knowing the results you want. Like, if you're not clear on them, get some help. Get some help on what's possible, where you can win. Because once you get clear on that, and you have that strategy, the tactical side of things actually, that's the easier part. Like, but if you don't have the other two, you're just not going to win. You're not going to win today because it's moving too fast. There's too many competitors, and you need to stand out. And you need to stand out with a real key difference. And look, content is a big part of that. And the big part of that content is the messaging. And your messaging has to be on point. And I think that's another area that businesses maybe go a wee bit light on, getting really clear on your message. Maybe that's something we could talk about in the next podcast that we talk about messaging. Yeah. I've got a lot to say on messaging. So I'd like to enter that conversation. All right. This has been awesome. Renee, how do people get hold of you again?
My contact number is 022 571 5055.
Yeah, or go to the website. Go to our new website. Have a look. New website's looking pretty cool. Lots of good content on there. Obviously, the podcast is on there, but also there's a contact us page. You can just fill in the details in the contact us page. That'll get to Renee. Renee will reach out, and we can have a chat. So that's another good way to do it.
Too easy. All
right. Hey, this has been a great podcast. This has been a great episode. One thing I need you to do. Look, we've been hitting the charts. We've been number 1, number 2, number 3. I even saw on Saturday we were number 2 again. We don't like being number 2. Come on. Help us out. Share the podcast. Share this episode. If you got value from this episode, if you're in a BNI or in some sort of networking group, share it with the members. Hey, I was listening to this really cool podcast from the guys at the Marketing for Business podcast, Digital Influence. They were talking about, Scott and Renee were talking about some really cool things. I wanted to share it. Share it with your groups. Share it with your networking groups because we want to help more people. So, Renee, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Scott.
Hey, your job now. Go and share this podcast. And as always, make sure you have some fun. Go out there, take some action. And as always, celebrate your victories.